do so, it is my pleasure and privilege to welcome the paper chair for our first presentation, that is Ms. Caroline Munene. Caroline is the AR Insurance Group CEO, responsible for driving AAR insurance operations throughout Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and ensuring growth. She has served in various leadership capacities for the last 20 years within the insurance industry. She has an impressive CV with the Master Business Administration, Bachelor of Commerce Marketing, and a professional diploma from the Chartered Insurance Institute, London, and currently pursuing her PhD at the University of Nairobi. You know, I'm used to mentioning the University of Nairobi twice because I am an alumnus there. She joined AAR in 2013 as a general manager and rose to managing director in 2015. She has been instrumental in the stellar performance of the business, registering tremendous business growth as compared with a gross written premium of 2.6 billion in 2013 to over 6 billion in 2017. Wonderful performance. Over and above her notable performance record, she possesses vast experience in business strategy formulation and implementation, as well as developing initiatives to enhance profitability. She is also credited with improving the company's general efficiency by streamlining business processes, a move that saw the company ranked the top insurer in Kenya in settlement of claims in the non-liability general insurance category by the Insurance Regulatory Authority in the second half of 2013. Ms. Munene has had an immense impact on Kenya insurance sector, contributing meaningfully to growth and innovation through membership and active participation in key industry bodies such as Association of Kenya Insurance, that is IIK. Previously, she served Madison Insurance Kenya as an executive director, principal officer at Kabage and Mwirigi Insurance Brokers Limited, Tanzania, and supervisor at Lion Kenya between 1992 and 2012. That is a whole 20 years of service. She was also the chairperson of East Africa Insurance Institute Association, a director with the Institute of Insurance Kenya, Insurance Institute of Kenya, that is IIK, between 2012 and 2015, and board member at IIK. It is my pleasure and privilege to welcome Ms. Caroline Munene, who is a clear definition of beauty and brains defined. Ms. Caroline, welcome on board.
Thank you so much, MC Mr. Okari. I think this is a very generous introduction. I'm not sure where you got all those details, but thank you so much, for the introduction. I also want to thank the Insurance Institute for inviting me really to come and give an introduction to the paper chair, and also to congratulate the Institute for this very special conference, the first of its kind, and it being a regional conference, really a step in the right direction. So thank you very much, Insurance Institute, and very well done for mounting this conference, especially a time such as this. And just to make one comment is just even to request that if we can have many more forums that bring together insurance practitioners. The environment right now is calling for more dialogue, is calling for more communication, is calling for us actually to work together as insurance practitioners. We have competitive interests, that is true. But we have more in common right now than ever before to allow us to come and just discuss and see how we can manage things in a better way. I also want to recognize the IRA and our CEO there, Godfrey Kiptum, and thank him so much for the support that he has actually given us during these very trying times for us as practitioners, for us as business people. It has not been very clear how to deal with the situation that we find ourselves in, and that we'll be discussing shortly. And all of you must, of course, appreciate we still don't have clear answers. We still don't have conclusive answers in terms of what we are going to do and how we are going to manage better and how we are going to work within this situation, which, as we discuss it in our paper today through our chair, we'll be looking at what are the opportunities really that exist within the current situation that we find ourselves in. But it is not lost on, of course, most of us that clarity on the issue is due to come. And of course, it's not going to be a one-year cycle in terms of a change in our industry and in our business. This is going to be a change in the longer term. And that is how we are going to look at it. So therefore, the more dialogue we have, like what we're having today, the more we discuss about the impact of COVID-19 on our business, the better. Actually, I want to even propose if we can have a monthly platform to discuss not just the impact of COVID-19. We need to look beyond that into what actually are the opportunities that exist within this current environment that we can take advantage of. So this is a very relevant time for discussions and to hold narratives on impact of COVID-19. And as I introduce the speaker, because my duty is very simple today, really just to bring the speaker to you and I bring the topic to you. I remember a story that is told about a frog and hot water. And the story is told that if you put the frog in a boiling pot of hot water, then the frog can simply and suddenly jump out of the hot water. And then the story is told that if you put a pot in a bucket of water and slowly start hitting the water from outside, then the frog will get comfortable and the frog will stay inside the pot and the frog finally will boil, and that will be the end of the frog. So as an industry, I think as we discuss the impact of COVID-19, we really must chart forward how we are going to approach this situation. We can start getting comfortable and looking towards the tail end of this situation and forget that we are not in a short distance run. We really are in a long distance run. So as we move through the conference, I think we really must come into our mindset and clearly set out how we are going to chart the way forward, especially in terms of working together as insurance practitioners, especially in terms of us being able to speak in one voice as practitioners, because really also we are at the heart of the changes and the impact of COVID-19 on the business. So I really think a time has come and we must really have one voice so that we can find our way out. So the topic is simple for today, and it's the impact of COVID-19 on our businesses, and of course brought to us by our very able speaker for this paper. And his name is actually Charles Etemesi, and he's the CEO of WAIVER Reinsurance Kenya Limited. And WAIVER has a very serious and good origins in the West African part of the continent. And they have, of course, various offices, of course, in Nigeria, in Ghana, in Sierra Leone, in Kenya. And I think he'll give us a bit more on where they have other offices, but he's an experienced CEO and has done masters in business administration, in management science from Kenyatta University, Nairobi. And he also has a Bachelor of Arts degree in economics from Bombay University in India, and a diploma in insurance from the Chartered Insurance Institute of London. Mr. Etemesi has very wide experience in insurance, of course, and reinsurance matters in our industry, in the region, I think in the African context as well. And prior to joining WAIVER Re Kenya, he was the CEO and senior management, held senior management positions at both Kenya Re and Prima Reinsurance in Zambia. So our speaker is actually, well experienced in both sides of insurance and reinsurance, and very well qualified actually to bring to us this very important and very timely topic for us as an industry. And that topic is the impact of COVID-19 on insurance business in Kenya. So it is my pleasure and my duty to introduce Charles Etemesi to you to kick off from there. Thank you very much and welcome to the paper. Welcome, Charles.
Thank you, Carol. For that warm introduction, I will shoot straight to the paper because of time. So I'll be projecting my paper from here.
We'll present the paper in 40 minutes and allow about 10 or 15 minutes of some interaction from the audience. So the paper will take the 40 minutes, and I will give you a cue when the 40 minutes is coming to a drawdown.
Maybe the team there can be able to. I think I'm there now.
You're there. You can put slideshow.
Yes, I'll put a slideshow. So, distinguished delegates, our chief guest of IRA, our Commissioner, Mr. Godfrey Kiptum, the IRA Chairman, Mrs. Grace Mohammed, the IRA Namibia, Ms. Agnes Macharia, our Director of Insurance Institute of Kenya, regional representatives, reinsurance and insurance experts, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. It's really a pleasure to present our paper today, or to speak to the participants of this great conference, which brings all of the insurance experts together annually. It's a privilege on behalf of our company, WAIVER, to be able to be given a slot, at least to be able to present a paper that has been, as Carol said, has no conclusive answers. And as you've heard our speakers so far, our chief guest and Carol, they've already delivered the paper. So basically, I will be taking you through highlights of some of the areas that we have looked at, and as an industry, maybe a very participatory session that cuts across the impact of COVID on our business. Well, just for a start, you know, at a glance, let me just introduce who we are. WAIVER, as has been mentioned by Carol, was formed way back in 1973, but then it was a pool. Subsequently, it transformed into a reinsurance company in 2011. The company has become one of the leading underwriters in Africa and beyond, that it has an AM-Best rating. We have offices, regional offices in Nigeria, Ghana, Ivory Coast, and the group opened subsidiaries in Zimbabwe and Kenya. Kenya, we started operations in 2018, and we are here writing general business. So at a glance, that's who WAIVER is, and those people, and that's the company we present here. I'll go straight into what I would call a business dilemma. What has COVID done to us in 2020? You realize, like the guy sitting on that razor, he can't move forward, he can't move backward, and he can't stay there for too long. So what are we really into as a result of the COVID pandemic? Basically, just an introduction of the kind of pandemics that we've seen, of course, COVID is not the first one, and definitely not the last one. We had the Spanish flu some time ago. The Spanish flu was there in times of war, and the estimated infections then were about 500 million people, and the estimated deaths were 20 to 50 million deaths. This was way back in 1918, and then came the Asian flu, followed by the Hong Kong flu, and of course, the more recent one that we can relate with was the SARS of 2002 to 2004. Again, these were pandemics that had influences on people's lives and businesses. In terms of what we are experiencing now, we have had various statistics keep on changing on a daily basis, but the figures we had as at October 2020 from the World Health Organization are as indicated. Of course, various approaches by governments to halt the spread, ranging from those who were termed as excellent and those who are termed as questionable. People like New Zealand and countries like New Zealand and Rwanda have been termed excellent, while some like US and Sweden have been termed questionable. So here in our country also, you've seen various approaches that the government has taken, and as recently as yesterday, to try and curb the growing pandemic. Well, the pandemic has an impact on our business. And so if you look at the insurance business, insurance business as it is very complex. We have to sell our business. We are used to meeting our customers. We are used to meeting our clients. We are used to going to conferences. There's an interplay between the insurers and the external networks. And so it's an interactive kind of business, and we like meeting each other. But unfortunately, when COVID came in, it posed a new surprise, ranging from challenges of how to maintain our own operations. And this, of course, severely disrupted the normal working operations. We were used to having conferences. We actually we are proud to say that our business is that one of relationships, meeting each other. But now I think with the onset of COVID, things have really changed, and the working operations is no longer normal. So what are we witnessing as insurers, and how are we faring? You see the industry, how we would ask ourselves, how is the industry likely to shape up after this unfolding crisis? And what are the critical flashpoints that we could be looking at? I think these were issues that were raised under the commissioner's remarks. What are the implications across the various segments of the industry? And what long-term trends might the outbreak usher in future? Are they positive or are they negative? Well, one of the things that we've witnessed with the onset of COVID is we quickly adopted the change in the working environment, and we started working from home. It's something that we had not really envisaged, and something that we always had a work environment in the office. Slowly, we've noticed that several companies have begun returning to the office, but on an alternating basis, Team A comes and Team B comes after a week or so. So life is still not yet back to normal. We are still operating from home. Many insurers have been looking at ways to increase their digital platform, connectivity, and lower reliance on physical co-locations of people. So we have found that it's an environment that we have had to adopt. The challenge that we face there, of course, is to ensure that now that we are not in the office, is the environment, as it created, what's the communication? We need to see that the communication between staff and, of course, the staff and the management is seamless in terms of the working environment at home. What are these challenges that we have been faced? I mean, while we work from home, what are the challenges that are posed to employees and employers in terms of our business? We are asking ourselves, how does the WAIVER Plus policies respond to injuries to employees working from home? We realize that it's not easy to prove that an employee was injured in the course of work, and hence a potential area for fraudulent claims. We're also saying that beyond telling employees to work from home, are employers making a follow-up to ensure that the working conditions at home are conducive? Most likely, this is not the case. We have not done it here at IIK, and we're sure that quite a number of people, employees, have not gone around to check whether the conditions are working. But we have the utmost good faith that whatever conditions at home are conducive. But again, it's a most likely area for potential for employer liability claims. Working from home basically means that these are online, and this exposes companies to cyber risk. Maybe this is an opportunity for the cyber risk insurance to have a look at. Potential claims as an area that, again, the COVID has raised. Initially, the initial reaction when COVID set in was for us to say that being a pandemic, the claim was not covered. I know meetings were held to this line of thought. Probably they were right, but a few questions should be asked here. How are the policies worded? Were there clear exclusions related to pandemics, or did the industry assume that a pandemic exclusion is a traditional standard, and hence the policies were silent on it? For sure, it was a surprise to most of us, or most of the industry, and the best reaction was, first of all, to say not covered. But slowly, we are seeing that this may not be the way to have gone, or this may not be the way to go. On the issue of potential claims, we got the guidelines from IRA to the effect that insurers are supposed to pay promptly claims that are related to COVID-19. A question to pose is that, did this weaken the insurer's position, or did it affect policies which were expressly excluded pandemics? While still on it, again, COVID is a very fast. It's likely to be one. It's likely to be one of the slowest developing catastrophes that insurers have ever encountered, and likely creating a prolonged period of uncertainty. But the biggest question we are seeing is on certain policies. Are there potential claims? For example, on business interruption, where property damage, where there's without property damage, is there a possibility? Is there a clear position from the industry on this one, on how to handle such a claim? We have witnessed claims that have come through. An example we have is a mall where a claim was submitted, and it was alleged that the owner had lost rentals income under BI, and particularly under miscellaneous risk extension, which covers the COVID diseases. And in this case, the argument was that COVID is indeed an infectious disease and sought to recover. The legal advisor, insurance legal advisor, is non-committal so far, but they have still insisted that there's a possibility that the insured can succeed if they were to prosecute a case. So we are not yet out of the woods as far as the BI without material damage is concerned. We have also witnessed an interesting debate on how medical insurers have responded to COVID claims. Some saying that in an enclosed environment, it will be possible to prove that somebody is ill. But while on a business trip in a plane, would it be easy to prove that this guy contracted the disease in an enclosed environment, or was it just a carelessness? Medical insurers eventually settled on a compromise to pay COVID claims related to services offered by government hospitals. This was some way of waiver of the pandemic exclusion that presents a policy holder to seek compensation through courts, at least, again, offered in a private hospital. This is also, again, food for thought. While there on the issue of potential claims, in the UK, the regulator took 8 insurers to court on behalf of the regional insurers regarding the BI claims, and they won the case. So are we likely to see the scenario in Africa or Kenya? The insurance industry has to be prepared for any eventuality. We're also likely to see event cancellation and travel claims. And at this point, it's difficult to tell how the insurance contracts are going to respond to the emerging trends. Some of the areas, of course, again, that COVID has impacted on are the channels of communications. Many insurers, carriers struggle to effectively handle a request, inputs and channels of communication. One of the biggest challenges happening right now is a spike in customer contacts. Whether is it we as I alluded to earlier, whether it's about travel insurance, critical illness, health cover, or any other that customers are dealing with, insurers are overwhelmed with queries over how and what and when this should be covered, or is it actually a claim? So these issues necessitate a number of reactions. Firstly, insurers need to insist that insurers contact them by phone. Insurers need to insist that customers contact them by phone or with only the most urgent inquiries. Everything else should be routed online. It also means that insurers need to look at their internal resources and how they are distributed potentially, moving as many people into claims as possible. That's again a way to see whether the claims that will be able to assist. As mentioned by my chair and even our chief guest, is an area of technology is another area that we are seeing growing, emerging out of this issue of COVID. In terms of technology, there's a forward movement in the insurance sector. And of course, customers are delighted that insurance companies are hopping into the digital age. Digitization in expanding their footprint and leveraging on low-cost digital distribution channels for sales and services, which eventually depends in their market. The issue of on skill on the digital platform, certainly those insurers who have moved into the digital underwriting and administrative processes are in a much stronger position than others. Even if processing time is slower now than in the normal condition, there's losing customers who move to a more digitally enabled competitors rather than stick to the traditional way of doing things, which is now almost off completely. So now digitized processes are very low nowadays. So in the insurance industry has lagged behind at least if you look at what the other industries have done in terms of the banks, but at least this is a challenge that has come in and has led Another issue that we have seen when the intervention by the regulator, by the intervention by the various bodies that govern the insurance sector. The regulator, for example, as mentioned earlier, he issued a circular assuring policyholders that the public of the industry support. This shortly, the main aim for IRA in this case was to ensure that the policyholders are covered as much as is practically possible during the pandemic. We also saw an intervention from the Cabinet Secretary, National Treasury, and in this case, he said that the companies were exempt from maintaining the capital adequacy of 100% for a period of 6 months. This meant that the local firms will be exempted from the capital adequacy requirements for 6 months between January and December. The move is expected to help the industry to cope with the impact of COVID-19, which has eroded the earnings of many Kenyans as some are unable to keep up with the regular payment of premiums. Well, with all this, it still remains a challenge to deal with the complex or high-value claims, where evaluating the physical evidence of obtaining expert reports in person is frequently a key part of the process. Insurers stepping up to help policyholders. This is one of the areas we've also seen where the waivers have come in. Insurers are stepping up to help their policyholders in different ways. For example, some are providing flexible and grace periods for premium payments, waivers for certain parts of their claims processing to expedite payments. We see this trend in other insurers all over the world. All of this will require operational processes to adjust and adapt to the time at a pace that is likely not to be imagined, was not to be imagined before the onset of COVID. Another area is the fraud risk. Of course, people are getting, the jobless industry is growing with the issues of people being laid off. The hospitality industry and the banks have witnessed a lot of this. So the challenges faced by insurance companies trying to mitigate against the risk of fraud, and this is the increased dependence on numerous third parties, finding the right balance between automation of systems and the manual intervention in underwriting of claims. All these factors raise another prevalent issue, mitigating the potential of fraud. We are already hearing the growth of fraudulent claim attempts. Well, that's another key operational area that has been impacted on by the advent of COVID is the distribution channels. Insurers' interaction with the brokers and intermediaries. Some broker IT infrastructure are having more difficulties providing administrative services. Insurers need to look for ways of reducing the amount of information needed from the brokers for renewals, for example, applying data assumptions and maximizing the use of public available information. Insurers should review ways to keep the operation support teams can work with brokers to help keep the business flowing. Another area that we have witnessed also is insurance firms have reported a sharp rise in policy cancellations, withdrawals by customers squeezed by the economic fallout. The cancellations pose a threat to stability of insurers for the form of lost premiums and squeezed liquidity. A Gazette notice, a circular released by IRA, a report released by IRA noting that 20 insurance companies out of 56 licensed companies are in this, there it has been cushioned by the Gazette notice that had alluded to earlier. But basically, the job losses and the heightened instability in the places of work has led to an increased cancellation of policies. While there, you'll realize that motor clients are also looking for third-party covers as opposed to the comprehensive ones. Microinsurance, the SMEs are having the hardest hit as COVID-19 insurance players in the microspace are likely to struggle on the business development and premium collection fronts. Interesting enough, while we are suffering on one side, there are some savings that are coming up because despite the health challenges brought by the COVID-19, Kenyans spent less on medical bills in the financial year ending June 30th compared to a similar period. This may be, as alluded to, the fear of contracting COVID as many patients stayed at home. Well, in concluding, and as earlier mentioned, that we are not likely to see the end of this pandemic soon, but we as insurance and reinsurance experts, we need to be looking at how to tame this in terms of our business. Pricing will be of key. How to price the business, how to price our products will be key. And this we should, as I mentioned, COVID-19 is definitely not going away. It will not be the last pandemic to hit the world. So let us price up appropriately to avoid being caught off guard in the future. So distinguished delegates, thank you for listening to me. I will invite any questions and answers. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Speaker, and very well said, and a good presentation on the paper. You did capture everything that we have on the paper, and you captured the whole ecosystem and the impact COVID is having on just various aspects, whether it's regulation. We are seeing more hands-on regulation coming through as a result of the COVID, whether it's in terms of processes and the digital space. You know, the need to move operations into a virtual or digital environment. That has been taken up very well by insurance companies in terms of dealing with the situation. We also touched very well on the channels of distribution and the need to innovate and look at different ways of distributing our products. And I think you also touched very well on the possibility of fraud that could be coming through as a result of the changing environment that we have. And of course, you touched on the customer changes. And all of us know, starting from ourselves, that we will never look at the world the same way again. So very well said. And from customers, even the psychology of customers, you can see a lot has changed. Things that people had as a priority in the past will no longer be a priority going forward. You know, people who would visit, you know, the bar as a priority. Now, because of the curfew, there's no more going to the bar on a regular basis. So those are some of the you know, changes that have come through on the psychology of customers. So very well said, Chair. And just before I move on, just to appreciate very much, I'm told that the Chair of IRA is in the house, Mr. Abdul Rahim. welcome very much to the conference. I'm also told that the Commissioner of Namibia, Ms. Grace Mohammed, is in the house. So welcome very much to the conference. So we are ending the presentation of this paper there. For the delegates to even raise a question if you have one. We can entertain through the chat. If you have chatted, you can write one question on the chat and we can look at it. And there's some question here, Speaker, how are employers supposed to ensure a good, conducive work environment for employees? That is question number one. Question number two, thanks for the detailed presentation. What is this new requirement of reinsurance come January 2021 in terms of rating of risks going up? This is very untimely and will impact negatively on our industry. So Speaker, those are the two quick comments coming through from the panels. Maybe you can take them.
Thank you. I'll go to the first one. How do we ensure a conducive working environment? Very subjective, really. You know, you just give the tools of trade that you have at home, I mean, the office at home, pass them over home. Because it's really, I know situations where, not really in our industry, but say in the banks where money dealers, they've actually had to move the whole money dealer office into the house. Otherwise, all those machines that people have to look at the rates and the changing environments in the various markets, it's now installed in your home. But we don't have that kind of environment. I think it's just to ensure that everything that is in the office is at home. So don't assume that where somebody is staying is okay, because really it might not be an office environment per se, but it's really subjective. In terms of the one for the circular that you've asked, I think I wouldn't want to divulge so much into it, because really it was a decision taken by particular reinsurers. So it would rather be addressed clearly by those insurers that wrote the email, although whatever is in it, we support. But for now, I think we wouldn't want to divulge to go into discussing whatever was written by the various reinsurers.
Okay, Speaker, I think you take our comments back to the reinsurers that we are requesting they be supportive in the current environment. I think that is what the panelist is bringing through. So Definitely. Our message will go back. We expect and request for support from reinsurers. Yeah. There is a question here. Kindly share some insight on how insurance companies should handle COVID-19 medical claims. I think I will comment on this one with your permission, Speaker.
Yes, please.
And just to say that with reference to medical claims, that all claims are being adjudicated as per policy terms and conditions with the customer. And we have had very few challenges. The claims have been adjudicated very well. And where there's been any dispute, I think we have worked together very well with IRA to make sure that we have good resolutions. For medical insurance, I think the idea has been to support our customers during these very challenging times, of course, within the policy terms and conditions. So that's how we are handling the particular claims on COVID. So unless there is any other question, I would like to bring the paper to a close and just thank the speaker very much for very good preparation on the paper and very good presentation. So thank you very much, and we are signing out as paper one. Thank you. Over to you, MC.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Yeah, before you sign out,
Yes, MC.
Yes, before you sign out, there is something I have seen here.
Yes.
I have seen about two participants had raised their hands. That is Meshak Nakitare and Andrew Mulunga. I would wish that we are able to bring them in. That is Meshak and Andrew.
so that they can also be considered for probably their question or something that they had in mind.
Okay, I was looking at the Q&A questions. I don't see any other questions there. So MC, do you have specific queries you want to raise?
I noticed that they had raised their hands at the participants section, the two of them, and I thought it would be wise to bring them in. Probably they had a question and maybe they didn't type it at the Q&A section. And it seems like they have they have dropped their hands, so we will take the hands as dropped. Now, thank you so much, Madam Paper Chair and the presenter, Bwana Charles. We want to appreciate you in a very special way. Thank you also for keeping time. You've been excellent, and we really appreciate you for that. Now,